Hello everyone. I'm Hannah, evolutionary astrologer, and I want to tell you all about this really big astrological transit happening in our sky, which is the planet Neptune moving into the sign of Aries. And so you can wrap your mind around this. The last time this happened was back in 1861. So yeah, Neptune was in Aries from 1861 to 1875, which was a very long time ago. Of course, our world has changed dramatically since then. So yeah, it's going to be a big deal. And it's one of those transits, it's one of those astrological activations that we're going to see once. It's a long period. It's 14 years of Neptune and Aries. But once it's done, it's done. We're never going to go through this cycle again because the next time it happens will be in 2188, I believe. 2188, which is, of course, a really long time ago. So big shifts. We're going to see many different stages of this because, again, this is a 14-year cycle starting in 2025 that goes all the way to 2039. And this is really, really important, not only because Neptune is moving into a new sign, and that's super significant to begin with, but Neptune is starting a new cycle around the zodiac wheel because Aries is the birth, it's the beginning, it's that um seeding point, the starting point where the wheel starts. It ends in Pisces, begins in Aries. So this is really, really important. This is really significant. So I really want to focus today on a little bit of everything, to focus on the themes, the intentions, the potential, how to use this energy, how to align with this energy at its highest vibration, its highest expression, but also the risks, the shadow side, the potential for struggles and really destruction. Every astrological configuration has the potential for amazing results and positive, great expressions of that energy, but also the shadow side of it. And that's the most amazing thing about astrology is that we can really use astrology as a predictive tool to really understand the weather ahead, what's coming. So if we know what's coming, if we understand those energies, especially the risks and the potential for trouble, we can, through our free will, make decisions in our everyday life that can either align us with the current or push against, or, we can really have a say. We can use our free will to really move through this current in the best possible way. So again, in this video, I'm going to focus a little bit on everything. This is such a big theme. And one really important thing is that if you have planets in Aries, this is going to be extra significant for you because Neptune is going to meet your planets in Aries. Same thing if you have planets in Libra, because Neptune will oppose your planets in Libra, and it will square your planets in Capricorn and Cancer. So again, if you have planets in Aries, Cancer, Capricorn, and Libra, this is going to be important for you. But again, this is important for all of us. This is going to affect all of us, humanity at large. And especially, we're going to have so many, and these are themes for other videos coming up, but this year, 2025, is super unique because we're having so many planets moving into new signs. So this doesn't happen very often. The planets that are like far away from us. So Saturn is moving into a new sign. Jupiter is moving into a new sign. Pluto has been in Aquarius now. It's its full year in Aquarius. It's going to be in Aquarius for 19 years. Neptune is moving into Aries, and Uranus is moving into Gemini in July. So huge shift. We're going to see this is really the birth of a new world, a new era for humanity. And really big year, big shift. So we're just in the seeding point. And going back to the history here, because that's how we learn, right? We got to go back to history. We got to see what happened last time. In this case, last time Neptune was in Aries, so we don't make the same mistakes. So in this case, last time Neptune was in Aries, for example, in the US, we had the Civil War. Aries has to do with war, and its one potential is in we're already seeing, conflicts globally speaking. We're already seeing war. We're already seeing so much bickering. We're already seeing so much opposition. So because Aries is the warrior, Aries can show war and conflicts. And at its extreme worst case scenario is violence and bloodshed. This is a potential here that we need to be very careful. We had the Civil War. The Civil War was all about an old system of existing, right? Which is an old system of existence, which was slavery. Aries is freedom. It's the freedom to be who we are. With slavery, it was literally the opposite, was the lack of freedom. And then you have this new movement that in the war that had it, that the intention was to liberate and free and break free from these really old and terrible, awful ways of existing. So again, with the Aries themes in globally speaking, we can see all sorts of situations and circumstances of people wanting to fight for their freedom. So we can see revolutions, we can see protests, we can see this need to be heard, to be who we are. And this can lead to war. This can lead to conflicts. This can lead to, because there's a lot of energy. And there's something about the Aries energy that can be very volatile. It's not a grounded, peaceful energy. It needs to take action. It needs to do something about things. It needs to speak up. So when we have, for example, Jupiter entering Cancer in just a few months in June of this year, 2025, in Cancer being about our roots, our homes, and the land we live in, in our mother countries, that's our Cancer, it's our home. So we can see upheaval at home, all sorts of domestic issues. And we can see people wanting to protect their roots, protect their traditions, protect their way of existing, and others that will try to protect the rights of those who have been persecuted. I mean, there's a huge conversation here about the natives of the lands that we live on. So, in the same way that the Civil War was all about fighting against slavery, against and for, right? We can see here people fighting for others as well, and all sorts of intense ideological battles. So, it's a possibility, it's a high possibility that we see new countries being born. Aries is birth, it's something new. So we can see this recreation, reconfiguration of our maps. A good example of that was again, last time Neptune was in Aries, we had the Italian unification. So back then, Italy was, a bunch of fragmented city-states. And then when Neptune was in Aries, Italy was unified. All these city-states were brought together under one king, and that was the beginning of modern Italy. Similar thing to, well, not similar thing, but within those themes this was also when the Franco-Prussian War happened, and that war led to the unification of Germany under Prussian leadership. So when those things happen, literally the map is changing. And when something like that happens, it's going to shift the power dynamics. It's going to shift the who's in charge, and really set the stage for all sorts of new identities, and really again changing the world map. And especially as we live in such a technological world, And again, this is a theme for another video, but with Pluto in Aquarius for the next 19 years, and Uranus about to enter Gemini, Aquarius and Gemini are the social, the internet, the cyber, the virtual world. So when we have this combination, we need to be so careful about all sorts of virtual misinformation, any sort of campaign, propaganda, and virtual conflicts, virtual war, all sorts of, and that itself is a huge theme, but that's another thing that we need to be really careful about. But what is the intention of Neptune in Aries? When we're looking at potentials here, but what is the intention of these next 14 years? Individually, in our own lives, but also globally, and this is evolutionary astrology. We're really looking at the soul's intention of that cycle. And we're going to talk about our own individual soul, but also the soul of humanity, the soul, the collective soul of all of the people that are alive here in this moment in time, and the people who are going to be coming in, these next 14 years. So part of the intention and the energy is about radical change, reinvention, recreating ourselves. Again, Neptune is entering that very first degree of the zodiac, which means that we can expect something brand new, something fresh out of the oven. No, it's that seeding point for a new paradigm to be created, to be seeded. So there can be that sense of really a fresh new start. We can begin again, which really hopefully doesn't come through, something terrible having to happen, like a war, like conflict, again, that we're already seeing in that fresh new start that happens afterwards. So again, we're really talking about an extreme case scenario here, but something to be very mindful of, very careful of. I also want to tell you about the last time so Neptune is entering Aries, but the sign that precedes Aries is Pisces. So these last 14 years, Neptune has been in Pisces. And that's been about, the intention of this cycle was stretching our spiritual envelope type of thing, our spiritual dimension. I mean, we're all spiritual beings. It doesn't matter if you're connecting with that or not, if you remember that or not, we are spiritual beings. And that was part of the Neptune and Pisces cycle. It has been about, recognizing ourselves as spiritual beings. It has been about developing that. It has been about, connecting with that. We've seen, and this could be in so many different shapes and forms, through the arts, through music, through creativity, through spiritual awakenings, through psychic sensitivity. We have these spiritual things like meditation and yoga practices and astrology and all sorts of metaphysical knowledge that they've been becoming more and more part of the mainstream. And that's Neptune. Neptune has that quality of distribution, something that is available for everyone. So nowadays, there's more yoga and meditation teachers than ever before. There's more meditation apps than ever before. There's so many movies and documentaries that bring the theme, as part of the unfolding. And we've had so much research. I mean, more and more, it's coming to the surface more and more, the potential benefits for all sorts of psychedelic drugs and microdosing and of course, marijuana becoming legalized in so many places. So there's this reawakening of our spiritual selves and our spirituality that is becoming available and accessible to everyone. So at a very deep level, humanity has been in this incubation cycle because Pisces is where we are in the womb. So again, in a collective level, It's this cycle where we've been exploring and accessing and learning and, even understanding there's so many layers to reality, dissolving old truths, dissolving old ways of perceiving this higher consciousness. So this all been happening, as we are in this Piscean incubation. And now with Neptune moving into Aries, that is the birth. It's just like the baby. It's, the baby's in the womb. It's in this passive state. It's just receiving, getting stronger, developing. And then when Aries comes is the birth. It's the coming out of the womb and saying, and screaming, I am here. It's that scream of life. So this is part of this cycle for us. There's something here being born. We've all been in the womb. We've all been getting prepared. And now with Neptune moving into Aries, one great question for us is, in these last 14 years, what did we receive from the universe? What was given to us? I mean, for me, it was astrology. That was my spiritual initiation. So now that Neptune moves into Aries, we gotta do something about it with what we were given. Again, Neptune distributes to everyone. Aries takes action. It does things. It's not a passive energy. It doesn't wait. So when we bring these together, it's the opening up. I mean, it's just this opening up in life where we can be the heroes of our own destiny, of our own story, of our own lives. So we're not waiting for something to happen. We're not waiting for for someone to give us something. It is like the time is now. That's such an important message here. So it asks us the questions, are you living authentically? Are you being who you truly want to be, who you truly are? Or are you just following the crowd? You know, um, where and how do you need to recreate yourself, reinvent yourself? In what capacity? Is this about your professional life? Is this about your personal relationships? Is this about your creativity? What is it about? What's this baby being born? What's this baby? What is this baby? And where in your life do you need to take charge? Where you need to take a fearless leap. And because Aries is about me, it's this very individualistic energy. It's about me, it's about what I want, my desires, my dreams, my path, my choices, my vision. It's a very individualistic consciousness. But Neptune is the opposite. It's the collective. Neptune says it's the oneness of existence. It's not just about you, it's about all of us, right? So when we have these two coming together, at a highest potential, highest expression, it's about unifying, aligning my personal purpose, my mission, my desires, my creativity, my life force, my chi with something that is much larger than ourselves. So, a time to reinvent ourselves, recreate ourselves. There's also this element of releasing, letting go. Some things have to dissolve so new life can occur, right? So a new cycle can begin. So connect with your vision. This is a time for a bold new vision. This is a time for creative breakthroughs. This is a time for a new sense of vitality, a new sense of creativity, a better sense of knowing what to do, because these last 14 years maybe there was a sense of not always knowing and disorientation and uncertainty. And with Aries, it comes that um the knowing, the I get it now, I know what to do, right? And then again, just to remind you, this is a 14-year process. So if it's not clear for you, in 2025, that's okay. We're now in a seeding point. We can listen to this video maybe in 5 years. All these themes are still going to be relevant. There's a lot here that's, setting up the stage, and then things are going to start to happen and unfold. But ultimately, the underlying themes, they're the same. We're just going to be at different stages of the process. Um, Great. So another thing I want to mention is the arts. We Because Neptune is where we are connected to this higher consciousness, it has so much to do with tapping into this higher consciousness and bringing this into creative expression. So we can see with Aries, brand new artistic expressions. Maybe there's going to be a new wave, in the arts and music. So just like in the past we had during Neptune in Aries, we had the birth of Impressionism. There's a video about that I want you to check out. It's, below in the comments, you'll see the link. But it was this brand new movement. It was so rebellious, it was so disruptive, and it was so innovative. And, people didn't get it at first, but it became Impressionism, right? So we can see something like that happening again that is truly groundbreaking. And you might think, okay, but I'm not an artist, so I don't, maybe this is not so relevant to me in my life, but it is, because you might not be, the traditional artist, creating a painting or creating a sculpture, but you're consuming art. So as consumers, especially, when we talk about many consumers, all the consumers, we have a say in what's being created. If we like something, if we don't like something, if we accept something, if we like, we have a say. So we can see so many new trends in the film industry. We're all consume movies, right? TV, music, digital art. I mean, with technology, of course, new mediums coming through. So I really do want to suggest that you connect with your own artist within, and you don't have to be amazing at it. You don't have to sell it. You don't have to make any profit. You don't have to be professional. But the point is in creating with, connecting with this creative reservoir, you know, and tap into it and bring it, create something from it and bring it into your life. So maybe bringing it into your life, maybe in some sort of an artistic expression, but maybe it's your business, maybe it's your family, maybe it's in your home. It doesn't have to be a canvas or a screen, but whatever it is, it's that potential, it's that possibility, it's that opportunity to really powerfully tap into it and draw from it and create, use this as an energy of creation. So maybe it's something more mental. Maybe it's like, your creativity, it can come through a lot of mental new ideas. Maybe it's technological, maybe it's drawing, collage, dancing, whatever it is, let it move through you, and one way to know if you found it, it's that sense of it's moving through you and you lose track of time and space. You're just in that passionate inspiration, creativity, um, fun, ultimately fun. And it really gives us vitality. It gives us that desire to be here, to do things, to create, to make moves. Of course, if you are an artist, I mean, that's amazing. That there can really be something amazing here about bringing newness to your work. But there is absolutely a brand new cycle and a sense of fresh energy being available to us. Another theme that I want to touch on is healing, medicine. Neptune is healing. We have Pluto in Aquarius for 19 years. That brings the scientific breakthroughs. Aries is pioneering. So we can see, when these combinations can really bring radical healing breakthroughs, new medicine, new healing approaches to physical health, mental health. There can be new, especially because Neptune is the more holistic healing, psychedelic therapy, plant medicine, all sorts of alternative healing becoming more and more part of the mainstream, becoming more available to people. And there can be, this rebellion of Aries that can be this backlash against traditional medicine, against pharmaceuticals. So that's one thing, and also any sort of breakthrough in addiction treatment, though that's amazing. But the shadow side, again, what we need to be careful is because Neptune's job is to help us connect with our spiritual selves in its lower expression. It can lead us to all sorts of avoidance, all sorts of numbing, taking us out. That's what has to do with escapism. And the way we escape reality, now, when the traditional ways of escapism are, alcohol, drugs, video games, all that stuff. Now in Aries, this can lead to new forms of escapism. We're in the age of internet, so this can be digital, new forms of digital escapism, all sorts of like virtual fantasy rooms or worlds that you can get lost in any sort of tech addiction, and even cyber drugs or anything that takes you out of reality. Okay, this world is too hard. I can't be in it. I'm going to be in a different world. Smart drugs, smart new drugs, anything that can enhance performance and physical, getting stronger fast or we have to be careful with any sort of like risky drug use and also self-harm. Aries has to do with anything that's pointy and sharp, scissors, knives, needles. So here we can see, unfortunately, the rise of self-harming as a sort of coping mechanism. And in a way, because Aries brings that speed and action, it can be in a way really great that can give us that push to be like, okay, I gotta lose weight, all right, I'm gonna do it. It can be that extra push that can help us to get healthy, to change our lifestyles, to start a business, to create our art and put it into the world. It can be really great and helpful for that. But the extreme side of it that we need to be mindful of is the extreme workout, is the extreme fasting, is the extreme, I'm gonna, stimulants and performance enhancers, and it's too much that becomes detrimental. And speaking of energy, speaking of power and fuel, which are keywords for Aries, this Neptune in Aries can revolutionize energy sources, especially with Neptune being water. I don't know much about this, but it's worth keeping keeping an eye on this because Neptune is water. Aries is energy and power and fuel, so we can have these new sources of energy. For example, water-based hydrogen energy. So hydrogen fuel cells that can replace fossil fuels, for example, can become, maybe that becomes the main source of energy. The other one that I was looking into was water splitting technology, which is, I think, I might be wrong about this, but I think it's when you extract hydrogen from water and then you create clean energy. So those things are potential, and that could be so great for humanity, so great for the environment. Same thing with quantum energy. Neptune is the unseeing. It's what we don't see, but it is there. So maybe with Aries now we can tap into the unseen. We can tap into, for example, the electromagnetic field of our bodies, and we're able to draw from it. We're able to power, use it to power, I don't know, our cell phones, brainwave tech, especially Pluto in Aquarius. Aquarius is the brain. So there can be new sources and new breakthroughs as well that can be really great. But again, the flip side, we got to be careful with unstable energy. Aries brings experimentation. If we're not careful, this can lead to unstable technology. This can lead to even toxicity, even not natural, environmental disasters. So we need to be careful with that, along with remember that Neptune gives to all. So if, for example, we find, hydrogen fuel cells is the new way of powering, our source of energy, this needs to be available to everyone. This cannot be, this cannot become a monopoly. This cannot become some sort of like, okay, it's only available to the rich or the elite. It has to be given to all. And the very last thing, the last theme I want to talk about is spirituality. Neptune helps us stretch our spiritual envelopes, our spiritual consciousness. It helps us to tap into this greater intelligence that's all around us, within us, in, above, below, etc. Aries speaks of empowerment. So potential here is for spiritual awakenings, feeling empowered by your spiritual life, your spiritual connection. And that, Aries is autonomous, it's independent. So this can also mean breaking free. We can see people breaking free from rigid traditions to really reconnect with their own spirituality, not needing the middle person, not needing the one, either a person or a group that says, okay, it's through me that you get to this higher consciousness, that you get to God. No, it really is remembering that we are our own vehicles for this connection. It's not outside. So finding our own truth rather than following the crowd, taking action, we can maybe see new spiritually conscious businesses, new visionary leaders, new visionary movements that bring more spiritual awareness, hopefully. We can see this Aries is activism, so it's fighting for something that you believe in, a cause, something that you really resonate with. I really want to encourage, take a stance in the sense that, if something that you really believe in, something that is important to you, but that brings that quality of unifying us. So if it's fighting for the protection of our rivers, so if it's fighting for our land, for the natives of the lands, for the animals, for a better environment, for equality, for justice, for anything that connects with that spiritual warrior type of energy, but it also goes beyond you. That's not just about my agenda and me and what I want, but that benefits us all. So we can see that, these new leaders and these important people coming in with this heart-centered but strong will that really gets things done. But on the flip side, we got to be careful with cults and cult-like devotion and radical ideologies and self-righteousness and people who that say, okay, there's only one truth, and my truth is the only one. It's about my people. It's about my land. My land is better. My land is worth saving, but yours isn't. So the catch here is like, if your truth separates instead of unifying, if your truth gives you power but takes power away from others, there's something there that needs to be, repaired and realigned. So be careful with causes and agendas that can override critical thinking. We're going to see new leaders, we're going to see new fighters, we're going to see new heroes. And we're also going to see, unfortunately, highly likely, messianic figures and deceptive gurus and, all these sorts of savior figures, in the political arena, ideologically speaking, religiously speaking, but like those who claim to have all the answers, those who claim to be the chosen ones, to be the heroes. So be aware of those in power, not only who's in power now, but who's coming into power, who's going to be, you know, the leaders of this new world that's being formed. Question authority, question ideologies, watch out for manipulation, watch out for those who claim to have all the answers. And there can be, there's something that we need to be aware of is that there can be this sense of disorientation. What is really going on? Who do I trust? It can bring propaganda. So Neptune makes things go viral, so we gotta be careful with misinformation. We need to be careful with all sorts of false narratives and who we're listening to, because you're going to see new heroes, and hopefully many with good intentions, with heart and mind really working together and really with that agenda that brings unification and new ways of working together to help create a better humanity and a better world. So last thing now to finish this up, my suggestion during this time is to tap into this huge reservoir of creativity. This transit is very much about personal power. It is time to do. It is time to take action. Whatever inspires you, that's the way forward. This is the time, this is a really powerful time to turn dreams into reality. It is a time to be fearless. It is a time to be relentless about pursuing your passion, your dreams, and truly your deeper spiritual callings. So again, these last 14 years with Neptune and Pisces, something was given to you, right? And now is the time for that baby to be born and for you to do something with what you were given. So waiting for the universe to provide, waiting for the universe to create the ideal time for something to happen. Yes, we got to work with the current and with these higher forces, absolutely. But remember that this is also a time to take charge, to take action. Don't just wait for the right moment, do it, right? Take action. And ultimately, then this is the best. This is the best combination of this Neptune energy with this Aries energy, is taking inspired action. That you're doing, you're following your dream, but this has really a much, much scope that you can even imagine. So you're working with these higher forces, but you are through your physical body and in this physical life, like really, making things happen. So it is a time for courage, to be the bold dreamer, to be the fearless artist, the warrior poet, the revolutionary visionary, it's the time for these visionary qualities in ourselves to set the world on fire, and not the fire that destroys and creates, mayhem and destruction, but it's the fire of our dreams that ultimately really serve humanity and make this world a better place for us all. Again, I hope this is helpful. I hope this is of service and informative, and it really gives you practical tools for the times to come. If you like this video, don't forget to like it. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. And especially if you're interested in more content like this, don't forget to check out my video about Neptune and Aries and the birth of Impressionism and the future of art. And the link is below, and I will see you next time.